The victory approaches. I stand atop my command spire, all four legs planted firmly on the observation deck as I survey what remains of the human resistance on Galax Prime. The once verdant plains have been transformed into a shattered wasteland by our siege cannons and orbital bombardments. My ceremonial battle armor gleams in the setting sun as I raise my primary arms in salute to our advancing forces. Though my pale blue skin lacks the natural protection of some species, our technological superiority has always more than compensated. Our heavy armored divisions push forward through the valley, crushing what little resistance the humans still muster. Their retreat has become a rout, their formations breaking under our relentless pressure. Their primitive armored vehicles burn across the battlefield, sending plumes of black smoke into the crimson sky. I feel the bones in my forelegs shift as I adjust my stance, the familiar ache of old battle wounds, a small price to pay for the glory of conquest. Magnificent, isn't it, War Commander? I say to my second, Nadrak, whose offspring share parentage with mine. His secondary eyes blink in acknowledgement while his primary pair remains fixed on the tactical display. Like all Gunari warriors, his height exceeds that of the humans by half. His four powerful legs and two dexterous arms giving him natural advantages in combat, despite our relatively soft skin. Indeed, Grand War King, the humans' northern defensive line has collapsed entirely. Their remaining forces are attempting to consolidate around the central highlands, but our orbital strikes have left them with minimal anti-air capabilities. I click my jaw in satisfaction. The humans have fought bravely, I will grant them that much. When we first invaded their colony world, they responded with unexpected ferocity for such small creatures. Their determination gave us 3 weeks of glorious combat before the inevitable tide of Gunari superiority began to turn the conflict in our favor. How long until total victory? I inquire, my secondary arms adjusting the atmospheric settings of my command armor. The human world's air is too rich in nitrogen for comfortable breathing. Nadrak consults his tactical array. At current advance rates, complete human surrender within 48 planetary rotations. Their communication networks indicate they've requested reinforcements, but the nearest human fleet is still 3 systems away. They will arrive too late to find anything but their comrades remain. I hum in satisfaction, the sound reverberating through my throat. This conquest will add significantly to my prestige, another world for the Gunari Dominion, another species brought to heel under our superior evolution. The humans call us invaders, but they fail to understand the natural order of things. The strong consume the resources of the weak. It has been thus since the first Gunari emerged from the ancient nesting grounds. Excellent. Prepare the ceremonial broadcast equipment. I wish to address our warriors before the final assault, and... The tactical alert cuts me off, its piercing tone causing all 4 of my legs to tense instinctively. Nadrak's eyes widen as he studies the incoming data. Grand War King, we're detecting new energy signatures in orbit, human vessels, but the configuration is unusual. I stride to the command console, jaw tight with irritation. Show me. The holographic display shifts to reveal the high orbital layer. 5 human ships have appeared seemingly from nowhere, their hulls emblazoned with a single star insignia I do not recognize from our intelligence briefings. Their energy signatures fluctuate in patterns our sensors struggle to categorize, as though they're somehow both primitive and advanced simultaneously. How did they penetrate our orbital screen? I demand. Nadrak's secondary arms move in a gesture of confusion. Unknown, Grand War King. They didn't register on our long-range sensors until they were already in orbit. Their propulsion signatures are... unusual. I study the vessels more carefully. Unlike the sleek uniformity of standard human military craft, these ships appear almost ornate, with what appear to be decorative elements integrated into their hull designs. Before I can comment on this tactical absurdity, one of the vessels broadcasts on all frequencies. The translation matrix converts the human language to understandable Gunari speech patterns, but something about the inflection strikes me as different from the human commanders I've encountered thus far. The voice carries a curious drawl, stretching certain sounds in a manner our linguistic analysis flags as regionally distinct. "Attention Gunari forces. This is Colonel Jebediah Walker of the Lone Star Battalion. We couldn't help but notice y'all are making a mess of this here planet. We'd kindly suggest you pack up and clear out before things get unpleasant." Nadrak and I exchange a glance, all four of our eyes registering confusion, the casual tone, the lack of formal military protocol. This is not standard human military communication. "Who are these humans?" I demand of my intelligence officer. The intelligence officer's arms move rapidly across his console. Checking historical databases, Lone Star appears to reference a human geopolitical subdivision designated Texas. Historical military significance, but not typically deployed as an independent unit in their space forces. This is unusual. I click my jaw dismissively. A desperate ploy. The humans send a handful of ships and expect us to retreat? Target them with orbital defense batteries. Yes, Grand War King. I return my attention to the battlefield below, where our advance continues unabated. Whatever these new human vessels represent, they cannot change the inevitable outcome. 5 ships against our entire invasion force? The humans must truly be desperate. The command center shakes suddenly, the impact sending several of my officers stumbling on their multiple legs. "Report," I demand. "Orbital Defense Battery 7 has been destroyed," Nadrak reports, his voice containing an unfamiliar note of confusion. The human vassals didn't fire conventional weapons. They appear to have deployed some form of energy blade technology, but on a scale that shouldn't be possible. "Energy blades? Show me." The tactical display shifts, revealing footage from our remaining orbital sensors. My chest tightens at the sight. The human vassals are moving in patterns that defy conventional space combat doctrine, leaving trails of blue energy that burn through the void like immense swords. One of the ships executes a maneuver that should tear it apart under the stresses, its energy wake slicing through our orbital defense platform as if it were made of soft tissue rather than reinforced alloys. "Impossible," I whisper, all 4 legs shifting uneasily. The communication channel activates again, that same drawling voice sounding almost cheerful. "Now see that there was just a friendly warning. Y'all might want to reconsider your current activities before we have to get serious." I slam my primary arm on the command console. "Who are these humans? What technology are they using?" Before my intelligence officer can respond, the tactical display erupts with new alerts. All across the battlefield, our advancing forces have suddenly stopped. Ground commanders report unusual energy readings emanating from behind the human defensive line. The main view screen shifts to ground level, where a new human formation has appeared at the edge of the central highlands. Unlike the standard human troops we've been facing, these warriors wear distinctive armor, adorned with what appear to be ceremonial elements. Strange headgear and decorative spurs on their footwear that leave trails of the same blue energy we observed in orbit. Most disturbing of all are the weapons they carry, not the conventional firearms of other human troops, but what appear to be energy swords, of similar configuration to those wielded by their ships, scaled for infantry combat. "This is tactically absurd," I mutter, even as doubt begins to creep through my chest cavity. "Melee weapons against our armored divisions? Are they suicidal?" The answer comes moments later as the human warriors charge directly toward our advancing forces. Our forward tanks open fire, energy pulses arcing toward the humans, who move with impossible speed, their blades somehow deflecting shots that should vaporize them instantly. "Great progenitors," Nadrak whispers, invoking our highest ancestor. "What are we witnessing?" I have no answer as I watch a single human warrior leap onto one of our heavy tanks. The blue energy trailing from the spurs on his boots somehow disrupts the vehicle's shielding, allowing his sword to plunge into the armored hull. The tank, our most advanced ground combat vehicle, explodes in a plume of fire. Similar scenes unfold across the battlefield as these strange human warriors tear through our formations with incomprehensible effectiveness. Their movements don't follow any combat doctrine I've studied, their tactics seemingly random yet devastatingly effective. "Grand War King," my communications officer calls. "We're receiving transmissions from all forward commanders. The human warriors are... They're yelling the same phrase as they attack." "What phrase?" I demand, jaw clenching rapidly in agitation. "Remember the Alamo." I've never heard this phrase, but the effect on my officers is immediate. Nadrak accesses the historical database, his eyes widening as he absorbs whatever information he finds. "Grand War King, these are Texas Knights. Human historical records indicate they're an elite fighting force from a region known for particularly aggressive combat doctrine. Their tactics are highly unorthodox and..." He hesitates, which is unlike him. "Continue," I order. "The historical records indicate they've never been defeated. Any force that has faced them has either surrendered or been completely destroyed." I dismiss this with a wave of my primary arm. Human propaganda. No fighting force is invincible. Even as I speak, our tactical display updates with fresh disaster. 3 of our orbital carriers have been disabled by the human vessels. Their quantum engines somehow disrupted by the wake of those impossible energy blades. On the ground, our western flank has completely collapsed, with hundreds of war machines lying in burning ruins. "Order our reserve divisions to engage," I command. "Deploy the atmospheric fighters to provide air support." "Yes, Grand War King." I watch as our reinforcements move to engage, confident that superior numbers must eventually prevail. The laws of warfare are as immutable as the laws of nature. No matter how effective these Texas Knights may be, they cannot stand against the full might of a Gunari invasion force. My confidence wavers as I watch our atmospheric fighters encounter the same blue energy fields that have wreaked such havoc on our ground forces. The human knights don't even bother to take cover, instead raising their swords toward the sky. Impossibly, our fighters begin to malfunction, their control systems disrupted by quantum fluctuations that our scientists insist should not be possible. "Grand War King," Nadrak says quietly, "I believe we should consider a tactical withdrawal." "Withdraw? Before a handful of humans with swords?" I snarl, my pride overwhelming my growing unease. "Unthinkable. Deploy the Brevarnat." The command center falls silent. The Brevarnat is our ultimate ground weapon, a bioengineered war beast created from the genetic material of our most aggressive ancestor species. Standing taller than 10 humans, its armored hide impervious to conventional weapons, it has broken the will of dozens of species across 3 spiral arms. "Are you certain, Grand War King?" Nadrak asks. "The Brevarnat has never been deployed on a core world. The diplomatic implications of defeat would be far worse," I snap. "Release it." The tactical display shows the deployment bay opening as our greatest weapon is unleashed upon the battlefield. The Brevarnat roars, the sound carrying even through the filtered audio of our command systems. Its massive form charges toward the human lines, crushing smaller vehicles beneath its 6 armored limbs. For the first time since they appeared, the Texas Knights halt their advance. Good. They recognize true power when they see it. The Brevarnat has broken the spirit of countless enemies before them. My jaw clenches in surprise as, rather than retreating, the Knights form a new pattern on the battlefield. They arrange themselves in some formation that appears to have cultural rather than tactical significance, their swords held at identical angles. "What are they doing?" I demand. Before anyone can answer, the Knights move as one, their swords tracing patterns through the air that leave trails of blue fire. The energy signatures build upon each other, creating harmonic patterns that our sensors struggle to analyze. The Brevarnat hesitates, its enhanced brain clearly sensing something dangerous in these energy patterns. Then it roars again and charges directly at the formation of Knights. What happens next defies explanation. As the Brevarnat reaches the human formation, every sword strikes simultaneously. The resulting quantum cascade creates a disruption field visible even from our command spire. A perfect star pattern of blue energy that engulfs our ultimate weapon. When the light fades, the Brevarnat The pride of Gunari biological engineering, the terror of 100 conquered worlds, stands motionless. Then, slowly, it sinks to its multiple knees, a keening sound of submission emanating from its massive form. "Impossible," I whisper. The communication channel activates once more, the same drawling voice, now tinged with what sounds almost like amusement. "Now see, we've had just about enough of this nonsense. That there was what we call the San Jacinto special. Your big critter there seems to have gotten the message. Question is, have you?" I stand in stunned silence, all four of my legs trembling despite my best efforts to maintain composure. In my centuries of warfare, I have never witnessed anything like what has unfolded on this battlefield today. These humans, these Texans, fight with methods that defy conventional analysis, wielding technology that seems to blend primitive tradition with quantum manipulation beyond even our understanding. "Grand War King," Nedrak says quietly, "our forces are reporting widespread system failures. The energy fields generated by the human swords appear to be creating quantum disruptions that are cascading through our battle networks. 70% of our remaining ground forces are inoperative." I stare at the tactical display, watching as the seemingly inevitable Gunari victory transforms into something unthinkable. Defeat. Not a strategic setback, not a temporary reversal, but a comprehensive military failure unlike anything in our recorded history. "Your orders, Grand War King," Nedrak prompts. Pride wars with pragmatism in my chest. To retreat would be humiliating, a stain on my lineage that would endure for generations. Yet to continue this battle seems increasingly futile. These Texas Knights do not fight according to any recognizable doctrine. Their methods cannot be countered because they cannot be predicted or understood. The communication channel activates one final time. "Tell you what, partner, we'll give you exactly 1 hour to gather your troops and clear out of this system. After that, well, let's just say you won't like what happens next. And just so you know, we're serious." The tactical display shifts to high orbit, where the 5 human vessels execute a synchronized maneuver. The resulting energy pattern creates a perfect burning star in the void, visible from the planet's surface even in daylight. The quantum disruption from this display temporarily disables every remaining Gunari system in orbit. I make my decision. "Order all forces to withdraw," I command, my voice steady despite the unprecedented order. "Tactical retreat to fallback position in the Nexfrel system." "Yes, Grand War King," Nedrak acknowledges, relief evident in his posture despite his attempt to conceal it. As our forces begin their retreat, I remain at the observation deck, watching the Texas Knights advance behind us. They move with an almost ceremonial precision, their swords held high, the strange head coverings they wear somehow remaining in place despite the chaos of battle. "We had the humans retreating," I murmur to no one in particular. "Then they sent in the Texans." In my private war journal, I will record that we withdrew for strategic reasons, to preserve our forces for future conquests, but the truth burns in my chest like acid. Today I witness something that cannot be explained by conventional military science. These Texas Knights do not merely fight with advanced weapons. They fight with something more fundamental, something our species, for all its evolutionary advantages, does not possess. As my shuttle lifts off from the command spire, I catch a final glimpse of the battlefield below. The Knights have stopped their advance, forming a perfect star formation at the edge of what had been our forward command post, their swords raised in what almost appears to be salute. I make a personal vow as we accelerate toward orbit: the Gunari Dominion will not engage the human territories again until we have thoroughly studied these Texas Knights and their impossible quantum swords. Some enemies can be overwhelmed by superior numbers. Others can be outmaneuvered by superior tactics. But how does one defeat an enemy whose very fighting style defies the laws of physics? An enemy who brings ancient traditions to a quantum battlefield and somehow makes them more effective than our most advanced technology? The answer eludes me as our fleet jumps to faster-than-light travel, leaving behind a world that was nearly conquered. Until they sent in the Texans, exclusion zones, No Gunari military forces are authorized to engage these humans under any circumstances. When asked to explain this unprecedented policy, I provide the simplest answer I can, because some enemies cannot be defeated through conventional means, and some victories are not worth the cost. The humans have a saying, I am told, don't mess with Texas. Perhaps, for once, our species would be wise to heed the wisdom of another. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave it a like and to subscribe if you'd like to see more. Feel free to comment and share it as well. With all that said, go on and check out the video in the top left. I think you might like it.